Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I believe today will be helpful and insightful to you to give you some insight on the Word of God to help you live your life today and tomorrow. So let's go to the Word of God in Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 10. And here Solomon is talking, and he says, he's talking about an axe where there's no edge to it, where it's not sharpened. Let me just read it in the King James. If the iron be blunt, and it does not whet the edge, then must he put to more strength. But wisdom is profitable to direct. The Message translation says, remember, the duller the axe, the harder the work. Use your head, the more brains, the less muscle. And the Amplified translation says, if the axe is dull, and he does not sharpen its edge, then he must exert more strength. But wisdom sharpens the axe, helps him succeed with less effort. Now, I think we're living in a time where we need people to be sharp. We need people to be alert. These end times, these last days, the last of the last days that we're in, requires us that we be sharp, that we are alert to the things of the world and the things of God, and how the enemy would try to get at us. At the same time, we need to have the edge when it comes to pastoring a church, or if you're a guy with a family, literally leading your home as a husband and then as a father, and to set the pace as a man. We need men, real manly men, in this day and age, and people that look up to men as a man that's to be respected. Doesn't have to be brute strength and brawny, but he certainly doesn't have to be wimpy and look like he's just a run-over dish rag. I think that men need to have a strong voice, and it talks about, I mentioned a few days ago in the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, how iron sharpens iron. And that means the iron hits. And when it hits that way, it says the sparks fly upward. Well, the sparks are the bits coming off of that iron. The same way, sparks, if you had a whetstone or whetstone wheel, I saw those old-fashioned wheels where you would either turn it by hand or have it on a pump pedal, and the wheel would spin, and you'd put the axe up there, or a scythe, or a knife, or like a machete or something to cut corn or whatever. The sparks would fly. Now, what it talks about, the sparks flying off the metal, and even in Ecclesiastes, sharpening, I think that it's talking about when that axe is dull and you begin sharpening, the sparks are pieces that are covering up the sharpness. The sparks are the dullness leaving. And so it takes some grinding away. And we need dullness off of our life. We need the dullness. And like it said in, I believe, the Message translation I read to you, the dull axe. We don't need dull axes today. Some people might get that twisted up with some other words you could put in there, but don't be a dull axe. Let somebody sharpen you. Let someone put the grind on you and remove what doesn't need to be there. And I'll be the first to admit, I've had to have some grinding on my life over the years to take off some of the dullness that was there and to put that keen edge so I could get done what I needed to get done for the Lord. And see, Pastor Leggett, you're still kind of rough. Imagine what it was like when the Lord started on me. And so when the edge comes, the sparks will fly. That's dullness leaving. A lot of times someone will speak into you something, a close friend, a cherished friend, confidant, whether it's your pastor or teacher or someone that you have accountability with, they will speak into you, and it may not be easy to hear, and that's the sparks. But if you listen to it, the sparks fly off. The sparks, every time it talks about the sparks fly upward, that's dullness leaving your life. The sparks fly off the edge. That's the dullness leaving. The sparks fly away from the edge. And I've learned how to, from my father and my grandfather, and just learning from different people how to sharpen a knife. Kitchen knives, I like them sharp. They work better. If you're using a knife around the farm, I want it to work better. You don't want to have to hack, try to cut a rope from a horse that might be tangled up or something. You want it to go to work right now, first time, and work right. And so the way it is in the world, I think some of the areas on how we define a sharpening, we could look at what the Bible talks about pursuing excellence in ministry, pursuing excellence in your family, pursuing excellence on your job. If you didn't do a good job last week, do a good job this week. If you didn't get everything done that you were supposed to do last week, make a list and try to get it done this week. And the same in church. Anytime I minister, I want to know if I could do it better. I want to know if there's something I could have done better, said better, if I could have articulated a sentence better to help somebody that's investing their time to hear the Word of God so that they are able to hear and to understand the message. And communication is so powerful. If married couples learn to communicate, they're sharpening the edge. Less labor has to go into it. You don't want to have one of those knockdown, drag-out discussions every other week. You won't hold up to that. Learn how to have a discussion or even an argument, so to speak, and let the sparks fly off of the dullness. And that way the edge comes and the marriage is more effective. With children, sometimes children resist, but you're to train them up in the way they should go, and when they grow old, they will not depart from it. For the love of God, folks, please teach your children about God and the principles of the Bible now, because a generation from now, it's going to be a difficult thing to behold in the lives of children with the insanity that's going on in our public schools, and because of this present administration fostering all sorts of insanity and a degradation, so to speak, of immorality in our schools with the textbooks they want our teachers to teach the children. And then something recently said, one of the government officials, I believe in California, imagine that, said that parents shouldn't be involved in what books their children are taught. And that's just a bunch of BS. Sorry, but I don't know how else to term that. Parents need to be involved in their children's education. And I really believe that's going to be one of the turnaround points in America is when parents begin to get involved in school boards, their children's education, their curriculum and what they're taught to take back children for God and for America. And that's where the edge comes in. That's where the sparks would fly. And anytime you sharpen something like that, part of that original product leaves so the edge can be revealed. And when it's revealed, when it's sharpened, the sparks leave, sharpness replaces dullness. And when that happens, there's not as much work goes in to get the same thing done. Not as much expense, not as much work. If it's in a church, the ushers are being sharpened, the greeters are being sharpened, everybody's being sharpened. And people need to learn how to go to church. You don't bring a bag of chips and a soda pop and kick back and recline and say, okay, preach to me. Because in church, you should be encouraged and you should be corrected. You should be disciplined and you should be given hope. As you're given hope, you should be given that there is an expectation put on you to rise up to the message. And so all of that is a sharpening process. And we can get more involved in that, but pursuing excellence is one way of sharpening. And then what the Word of God says, studying the Word of God, that you may be an approved servant unto God, not ashamed, but be approved unto the Lord. People say, well, God can bless dummies. Yes, He can, but He's not going to use them a lot. He uses people that listen and obey. Hear and obey. James chapter 1 says, blessed is the man that not only hears, but is a doer of the word. I would say right now the doer is the one who has endured the sharpening. That man or woman or boy or girl shall be blessed in the doing. God bless you, as Pastor Dave saying. Thanks for spending some time here today. And we're going to get after this more and just have a good evening. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
This broadcast is made possible from givers like you. Each time you sow a seed, you are helping us to keep spreading the Word of God around the world. If you would like to give a financial gift, you can use one of the giving options listed on your screen. Remember to click the share button to help us reach more people. Thank you again for sowing into this ministry. And remember, with Jesus, we always win.